Alam nyo, history ng Palawan, Brother Chelo Domingo, literature evangelist, siya ang pioneer ng SDA work dito. Anak ito, pangalan anak ng ating pioneer. Anyway, our ministry is what we call a Wellness Plus, which is an integrated wellness ministry modeling Christ's method of personal outreach. It is registered as a non-profit corporation with a SEC entitled, or the name is Integrated Wellness Initiatives Incorporated. So our mission is to promote the quality of life of individuals, families, and communities. And our vision is an informed and transformed community enjoying a healthy, empowered, financially independent, and purposeful life. The Lord will give us true success in reaching the people. Yan ang Sabbath school lesson natin previous quarter. What did Jesus do? He did an integrated ministry. Matthew 9:5, and Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in the synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. And remember, Jesus Christ's holistic ministry included even feeding the hungry. It was a holistic ministry, including meeting the physical, material needs of the people. And that method of ministry is approved or affirmed by God's messengers to our church, Ellen G. White. There is need of coming close to the people by personal effort. If less time were given to sermonizing and more time were spent in personal ministry, greater results will be seen. The poor are to be relieved, the sick cared for, the sorrowing and the bereaved comforted, the ignorant instructed, the inexperienced counseled. We are to weep with those that weep and rejoice with those that rejoice. We must be incarnated in the community that we are ministering to. Now, this is why, there's total member involvement. The emphasis of this church during this administration of Elder Ted Wilson, and he says we are all local church members and need to become completely involved with God's Advent message to the world. I challenge every church member to take seriously their membership in the Seventh-day Adventist Church and do something for Jesus through the power of the Holy Spirit. So it is a very inclusive program. Every member of the church must be doing something. Now, in my research, especially in the context of our prophetic time in the prophetic history, there are 4 areas that we are counseled to participate in as individual members of the church. From these 4 quotations, you will know what they are. And the sources of the quotations give us a clue as to what kind of that ministry is. First of all, if the proper instruction were given, if the proper methods were followed, every church member would do his work as a member of the body. He would be doing Christian missionary work, evangelism. So that's evangelism. Now, from Councils on Health, we are told that we have come to a time now when every member of the church should take hold of medical missionary work. It is an integral part of the gospel ministry. Right hand of the gospel, the entering words of the gospel is the health message of the church. Health reform message. Number 3, from cultural ministry, every member of the church should work as earnestly for these health journals as for other publications. So that is colporteur ministry. It says that every member should be involved in some kind of colporteur work. And finally, welfare ministry, let all who profess to have found Christ minister as he did to the benefit of man, cherishing a spirit of wise, or in another source, she says, disinterested benevolence. We shall then see many souls follow in the light that shines from our precept and example. So those 4 areas, evangelism, health reform ministry, colporteur ministry, and welfare ministry. Because it is a holistic ministry, just like Jesus Christ. People do not only need doctrines. they need help in their physical life. Nagugutom yan, nauuhaw yan, kulang yan ng cash, pang tuition, upang bayad sa doktor. Now, let me focus now on the Colporteur ministry. But you will find that these are all integrated, even the Colporteur ministry. The nature of literary evangelistic ministry is, first of all, it is ordained of God. God has ordained the canvassing work as a means of what? Presenting before the people the light contained in our books. So that's evangelism, isn't it? Yes. So when doing Colporteur work, we are doing evangelism. Colporteur ministry, page 29, the canvassing work is sacred, and those who have unclean hands and defiled hearts should not be encouraged to enter upon it. Any part of our work, missionary work, is sacred, including Colporteur work. And finally, Colporteur ministry number 6, page 6, the canvassing work, properly conducted, is missionary work of the highest order. And it is as good and successful a method as can be employed for placing before the people the important truths for this time. In some other quotations, Mrs. White says, Colporteur ministry is equal to the regular ministry like what you are doing. Yun nga lang, yung mga colporteurs are self-supporting. They don't get salaries from the church. Now, the purposes of the evangelistic ministry. First of all, of course, to proclaim the message, evangelistic nature. Our publications have a most sacred work to do in making clear, simple, and plain the spiritual basis of our faith. Number 2, to support unsalaried full-time workers, as Brother Vistar. So our colporteurs are self-supporting missionaries. And then, partly, I found out in my research that the colporteur work, selling books and magazines, have been done historically in supporting schools and sanitariums. The institutions that we see now, na malalaki, they started being supported by, in essence, the Colporteur ministry by selling books and magazines of the church. Now, Colporteur ministry is indispensable for 2 reasons. One, it can go where the living preacher like you cannot go. Number 2, I find this quotation very significant, and I am concerned. Because it says, more than 1,000 will soon be converted in one day, most of whom will trace their convictions to the reading of our publications. I consider that a conditional prophecy. Don't you think so? Because it depends upon the situation that the books are in the homes of the people. If the books are not there, how will they be convicted? And how will they be able to read? So it is really indispensable that we do literary evangelistic ministry and put those books in the homes of the people in our communities, in our province. Now, there is urgency in doing this. In the context of the time, the prophetic time in history, we need to do as much as we can. In Acts of the Apostles 1:58 says, time is rapidly passing and there is much to be done. Every agency, ministers, physicians, nurses, colporteurs, Bible workers, and other consecrated laymen must be set in operation that present opportunities may be wisely improved. So we take this seriously. That's why we like to participate in the gospel work. And secondly, why it is very urgent. Many people are dying without getting to know the gospel. Many who are hungry for the bread of life have not the privilege of hearing the word from God's delegated preachers like you. For this reason, it is essential that our publications be widely circulated. Thus the message will go where the living preacher cannot go, and the attention of many will be called to important events connected with the closing scenes of this world's history. When people read or see the news, and they have the books in their shelves, then the Holy Spirit will work for them being directed to what these things that are happening mean in our time. Now, there are 4 kinds of models of literary evangelism that I think exists today. First of all, we have the full-time LEs being managed in this mission by Brother Vistal. In Publishing Ministry, page 01, I found a statement: a substantial group of full-time colporteurs has carried out door-to-door evangelism since 1882. So in the history, development of the church, you will find, you research in the old issues of Outlook magazine, many churches and congregations have been started by colporteurs, colporteur evangelists. This mission itself, the very first official church missionary sent here was a colporteur, my father-in-law. Chudo Lumingwa established churches in Cuyo, Coron, and finally here in Puerto Princesa, which is now the central church. So we have this full-time LEs. Now we have the seasonal part-time student LEs. Every summer, I was a student colporteur too for 2 summers in the local street. It supported my schooling. So when school closes, there will be opportunity for many to go out into the field as evangelistic canvassers. The faithful colporteur finds his way into many homes where he lives, precious reading manner, containing the truth for his time. By the way, as pastors, I think you need to emphasize this to the young people in the church, because it is a very good program. When I was a student, like I said, I went to Longo for 2 summers. And the program is, if you, for example, save 10,000 by your canvassing during summer, the publishing house will match it for another 10,000, and the school will match it for another. So you get a 30,000 credit when you come by enrollment time. I think that's still the policy, but I haven't heard that it has been changed. So, student literature evangelist. Now, this is a particular quotation pertaining to you. It says, wherever a minister goes, and for that matter, whenever a regular salary denomination employee goes, he can or he should leave a book in the family where he stays, either selling it or giving it to them. That's from New in Hellas, January 15, 1901. Now, I know we have a problem right now, but this is beginning to be emphasized at this time. So that's the third model. And finally, every church member must do some kind of colporteur work. Colporteur ministry pays in. The Lord calls for many more to engage in the canvassing work. Every member of the church is to show his loyalty by inviting the thirsty to drink the water of life. So, 4 different models. Anybody can fit into any of those models. You being pastors, ministers, denominational workers, I think fits into the third model. I remember way back when, because I was a colporteur also for 2 years after high school, they had what is called Big Week. Everybody in the mission or in the union can go out and, solicit customers for the books. So this is just an extended or perennial Big Week for everybody. You don't have to do it just on Big Week, but wherever you go, it says. And so at this point, I don't know if you have any questions on the presentation that I've done. If you have, please hold on to it, because it might be answered by the following slides that I have, or if not, at the end of this presentation. Now, in doing our work, you will agree with me that we have made changes throughout time, depending upon the situation. It says, new methods and new plans will spring from new circumstances. New thoughts will come with new workers who give themselves to the work. They will receive plans devised by the Lord Himself. So faithful workers will be inspired to think of new methods according to new circumstances. What is wrong with the picture that you see in there? Can anyone tell me? I'm reminded of my father, because he used to do that, bring what we call the sleds, the carabao balls. Sa amin, they call it pamaba. They loaded the rice, bananas, whatever he needs to go to sell in the market. Karosa. Right? Now, there's nothing wrong to do that even now. If you want to bring your produce from Aramaywan to Puerto, you can still use the caravan, right? But, of course, we have the road now. That's the new circumstance. We have the trucks and the cars that can easily bring those. So, that is an example of how new methods and new plans spring from new circumstances. Kaya doon sa amin, in our place, now, there is a national road that transects our property, where there was none before. Only cow paths or carabao paths. So, we are fortunate. And we are fortunate to have new technology, new equipment, new whatever that we have to speed the work. Now, here is an example of new circumstances or new situations. A couple of weeks ago, I found out this survey of top 12 concerns of Filipinos today. And what are they? In other words, when you are talking to a person who you would like to sell a book or two, these are his or her concerns. He wants his wages increased. Some of family members want to go to work, they have no job. To them, the prices or their salary is not enough for their needs for the month. There is more month at the end. Less salary. The high cost of inflation. Yung isang saging ngayon, magkano na? And then, of course, they are concerned about corruption in government, about poverty. There is widespread poverty in the Philippines. You will see later how much. And then, they are concerned about criminality. Next, number 7, they want peace in the country. They want the enforcement of law. They want to reduce the amount of taxes paid. They want protection of the environment. They want to control the population growth. And finally, they want to protect the welfare of overseas Filipino workers. Those are the top 10 concerns of Filipinos today. Those people that you meet every day. Now, I summarized somehow these things in this list. There are trends, these are trends that impact the literature ministry or even your ministries. Not only the Colporteur ministry, but every ministry. The increasing cost of living, the increasing cost of healthcare, of education, the poverty in the nation, the health and wellness revolution. Everywhere you find people selling you whatever, purporting to give you health and wellness. And there is the search for purpose in life, and finally, the shift to networking business models. In this quotation, I'd like to emphasize that cost of living affects quality of life. Pag napakataas ang mga bilihin, people decide, papagabot ko ba ang anak ko o bibili ko na lang ng bigas? And then, in cost of healthcare, Filipinos, more than 3/4 of Filipinos admitted to having struggled securing money to cover their medical expenses, according to the National Demographic and Health Survey. So people are concerned about that, where they will get money for their medical needs. And then about the health status of Filipinos, ito sabi, 9 people are diagnosed with cancer every hour. So there's really a need for us to get the message out there for health reform, because many illnesses and diseases can be prevented by a Bible-based lifestyle, according to the laws of health. 61 people die of diabetes every day. Imagine that. 5 people die of respiratory diseases, including tuberculosis, every hour. 276 Filipinos die of this heart disease every day, and 1 person die of stroke every 9 minutes. Now, those are just statistics to us. But if one of the statistics is our loved one, our wife, our spouse, our mother, our daughter, it means a lot. So, we really need to promote our health message through the Colporteur ministry, so that people will learn how to prevent disease and maintain their health. The increasing cost of education. How many of us struggle, or how many of brethren struggle, even people in the community, to send their children to school because of the prohibited cost of education. the unregulated education in the country gives rise to uncontrolled and overpriced nature of both basic and higher education. And then poverty. We find this wherever we go. Saan ka pumunta, may nagpapanlimos dyan, sumakay ka sa jeep, may nagpapanlimos, naglalakad ka, may nagpapanlimos, may namumulot ng mga pagkain sa basura, na hindi lang sa Manila, but you find it here. So there's poverty. And poverty is not only a political issue, but it is a moral one, according to this commentator. Because it essentially concerns the dignity of the poor as human beings. And if we don't find, and if most of us enjoy in superficial things, yung mga gadgets dyan, kung ano dyan, na just for our pleasure, but we are not concerned about our fellow human beings dying from hunger and disease, then it means that we have not really deepened our reflections on the meaning of life as a whole. That is a secular commentator, not even a pastor or a spiritual person. Now, here it is. According to NEDA, the National Economic Development Authority, for a family of 4 Filipinos to have a simple, hindi extravagant, simple and comfortable life, they need to have a gross monthly income of 120,000 pesos. Just to meet the basic necessities. Magkaroon ng mobility, magkaroon yung basic needs every day. Sabi nga nung mga officers sa Philippine Publishing House, yung pinusent namin ito sa kanila, aba, wala pa tayo sa kalahati dyan. So you will know that really there is a need for more financial help. Everybody needs it. Now second, another trend that we know is the popularity in health and wellness. There's a book called The Wellness Revolution has been a bestseller because this health and wellness trend brings out businesses that will yield trillions of dollars, not pesos, dollars, for companies that involve in it. So it's another trend that we should be aware of in our ministry. And then, remember the popularity of The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren? 30 million copies in 5 years. What is the implication? Ano ang ibig sabihin niyan? Why do people buy the book? Because they are yearning to find meaning and purpose in their own lives. And we have the solution. We have the message to give them kind of meaning and purpose in their lives. Now, the shift to networking business models. I have to be circumspect because I know that most Seventh-day Adventists, especially in the recent history of the community here in Palawan, companies that can transform the traditional business models into platforms or network models will have a competitive advantage. So in other words, companies with progressive leaders take advantage of this trend, the networking trend. Now, like I said, well, let's just go. So from all these situations or new circumstances, we have developed what we call the four-legged stool LA ministry model, Brother Vistal, because we are colporteurs. We came to Father Vistal some time back, and he specifically gave us an assignment to promote the subscription of Health and Home magazine. Remember that, Father Vistal? So this four-legged stool LA ministry model, an acronym is spelled HELP, H-E-L-P. What are those? Health promotion and education. Like I said, the world, the Filipinos need our health message. And so we promote what we call the Gardens model of health. Empowerment, people need help in overcoming their evil or bad habits. Kaya ngayon, maraming mga drug addicts na nagsusurrender. Takot sila eh. But what they need, hindi sila dapat patayin. They need it to be helped, to rehabilitate themselves. And then liquidity, like I said earlier, in the context of poverty and the need for more money to meet basic necessities, everybody needs to be liquid. So our program provides a system for financial help for our customers. In other words, yung mga bumibili sa atin ng subscribers or ng books. And finally, purpose. We need to promote to people that even though you have all the money in the world, even though you have what material things you want, without purpose in life, life has no meaning. So we promote or model the purpose-driven life. Now, what is the Gardeners model of health? When I was a student in seminary many years back, I sat under the instruction of Dr. Mervyn Harding, who was the founding dean of the School of Health at Loma Linda University. He taught us, students, you need to think of a way to integrate the health presentation and the doctrinal presentation in public evangelism. Kasi, I don't know if you still do it today, bago ka mag-preach as evangelist, you get somebody to do a health lecture. So, for 20 years, I thought of that assignment and came up with this model. So, in this model, we cover all the teachings of the church. G stands for God, the source and sustainer of life and health. So, we talk about creation, Genesis and all that. Atmosphere, the cradle environment. Remember in creation, before God created human beings, He made everything so that they can survive. Air, water, food, sunshine. So you have a new start in that principle. The relationships. When God created human beings, He created us as relational beings. We are related to God as our Creator. We worship, we praise Him. We are related to our fellow human beings in an expanding circle of influence. And we are related to the lower creation, being stewards of the earth. And then decisions, the direction and destiny of life and health. Choices determine our life status, our happiness, our health, whatever you eat. You are what you eat, they say. Whoever you go with will determine your destiny. So decisions. In the Garden of Eden, that was so evident when Adam and Eve chose to disobey God and listen to the suggestions of the devil. Exercise, by the way, our presentation on health are holistic. So when we talk about exercise, we are not only talking of physical exercise, but of mental, spiritual, and social. It's a holistic model of health. And it's the same with nutrition. When you talk about proper nutrition, it contains physical, mental, spiritual, social nourishment and sustenance that we need as human beings. And finally, salvation. When man sinned, the Bible says, all have sinned and continue to fall short of God's glory. And the wages of sin is what? It's death. It's eternal death. And so without salvation, even if you're the most healthy person in the world, it's nothing. Because you will experience eternal or the second death. So we need salvation, and that closes the Gardeners model of health, promotion, and education that we teach. Empowerment, the essence of discipling ministry. Actually, discipling is empowering people. So you model, like Jesus Christ, He taught, He trained, He bonded with His disciples. That should be what we do as literary evangelists and us, in whatever model we are as literary evangelists. So in our system, we promote the mentoring program, the discipleship program. For example, if we find a subscriber to Health and Home, we ourselves deliver the magazines. It comes out every 2 months. And it is our chance to mentor, to teach, to educate, to pray for, to bond with our subscribers. We do not just leave them there. Once they subscribe, that's it. No. We develop an intentional relationship, just like what we read in earlier in discipleship. So that eventually, by God's grace and through the Holy Spirit, they may decide to choose God's side rather than the devil's. So that is discipline. And then liquidity, of course, like I said, even Jesus Christ ministered to the people's physical wants, and we should do the same. Many can be reached only through acts of disinterested kindness or benevolence. Their physical wants must first be relieved. As they see evidence of unselfish love, it will be easier for them to believe in the love of God. So we ourselves must be well versed with our teachings and our messages, and even the simple remedies that we promote. For example, sumakay ka sa jeep, nakausap mo nandun yung kaibigan mo, sabi sa iyo, masakit ang ulo mo. You who know, sabihin mo, oh, baka kulang ka sa tubig, dehydrated ka, which is really evidence-based. A lot of our illnesses, sabi na this doctor, can be traced to dehydration. In fact, sumulat siya ng book, the body's many cries for water, manifested in different ways in the body. So, we need to do that. We need to minister to our physical needs. And purpose, P is for purpose. Our purpose is to glorify God. Whatever our profession, ministers, businessmen, mechanics, tindero sa palengke, everyone who names the name of Christ should so work that others, by seeing His good works, may be led to glorify the Creator and Redeemer. So that's purpose. Now, the application. How do we apply those principles in the Colporteur ministry? We developed a program called Cooperative Subscription Program. So it's a magazine program promoting subscription to Health and Home that also delivers checks to your mailbox. Remember, every customer of ours needs financial help. Hindi lang yung teachings on health, on family relationships that are in the magazines, they need financial help because of the poverty that is abundant. We promote Health and Home because it provides God-created, God-centered, and evidence-based information on health, relationships, parenting, nutrition, and many more. Sabi ng isa, meron pa bang kailangan na mag-subscribe ngayon ng Health and Home, ng magazine? Marami kayong makukuha sa internet, di ba? Nag-Google ka lang. So, what would be your answer? My answer is this. Many of those information are humanistic. They are not God-centered. We don't need that. The people don't need that. They need God-centered health information and relationships and many such things. And Health and Home provides that to us. Now, another principle that we follow in our ministry is the formation of small care groups. And we find it from the testimony of Ms. White. The formation of small groups as a basis of Christian effort has been presented to me by one who cannot err. We have an application of that in our ministry. And then, the bands formed in those care groups should not be broken. Let them keep their union, the band of union broken, pressing together in love and unity, encouraging one another to advance, each gaining courage and strength from the assistance of others. And finally, the principle of being linked together, our chain of living witnesses, is to carry the invitation to the world. Will you act your part in this great work? That other angel faithful team. Now, you might be thinking, I am promoting networking, and that's true. And many of us have a negative concept of what it is. But actually, it's a neutral tool. Like any other neutral tool, the outcome of networking depends upon the hand that holds it. Even discipleship is a networking system. So let me show you how this works later. In summary, our integrated LA ministry is a lifelong commitment to discipleship ministry. It is not basically networking for money, no. It is a lifetime commitment to discipleship ministry. Like what I said earlier, when we deliver the Health and Home copies to the subscribers, we develop this discipleship relationship with them every 2 months when we deliver the copies to them. It is modeled after the ministry of Christ and to the counsels of Ellen G. White. But it requires learning. It requires us teaching, it requires us learning, awareness of people's needs. Because how can we minister to people's needs if we don't know what they need? There are superficial and there are real needs. We should know them and be able to minister to the felt and real needs. And it is a better system of mutual support based on those who preach the gospel, should live by the gospel principle of doing integrated ministry. Right? Those of you who preach the gospel get salaries from the tithes and offerings. The regular colporteurs are self-supporting missionaries by their selling books and magazines. So if you have questions again, gentlemen, to the issues we discussed, please keep them in your mind, put a hold on them, and we'll answer them at the close. Which we have almost come to. We are closing now. So, Cooperative Subscription Program, or CSP, is easy to share for your personal circle of influence in ministry. So we work with this social phenomenon. All of us, each one of us, have our own circles of influence, right? I think it is a gift to us from God that we need to be good stewards of and develop or harness the circle to extend God's kingdom in the hearts and minds of those people in our circles of influence. How? When we minister to them holistically, their physical, mental, spiritual needs, we touch their hearts. So those in our circle of influence, we minister them, and so I don't know how many people are in circles of influence, but usually it's not many. But when we reach them, they have their own personal circles of influence. When we mentor them, when they disciple them, when we teach them, educate them, they themselves will do the same and reach their own circles of influence into a wider, expanded, extended circle of influence from the very one who started it, and that is you. Your intentional ministry to minister to your personal circle of influence. So when we work together, we don't work competing with each other. We work together, but in doing so, we accomplish much. We have synergy. And then we share some that we should get from our ministry with those people in our circles of influence, but in doing so, we receive more. It's a law of life. When you share, you get back a little more. My wife always tells me, it's very good to share because, for example, yung tanim mo na kamote, pag pinutol mo yung mga tambos niyan at sinir mo sa iba, anong nangyayari? Mas lalo pang daming lumalabas na tambos. So it is a principle of life. Sharing blesses you more. Now, so our strategy is we begin with our circle of influence. We coach them, mentor them, disciple them, encourage them, support them. And we keep developing ourselves and keep discipling them, teaching them to do the same. So we are linked together. In doing so, we have synergy, we have leverage and momentum in our ministry. And finally, because of the technology of internet, each of your ministries, when you join the program, can be tracked by just going to our website. And we'll see how many people have subscribed that you brought themselves in, or your circle of influence themselves brought it in until expanding. That's what I call the power of the ripple effect. So how do we do it? So when you join our program, you subscribe to Health and Home. Subscription to Health and Home is more or less 1,000 pesos, right? Rather we start, it's less a little bit, but we just round it off. So when you subscribe, there is a one-time, lifetime membership fee to the program, You get 1 year health and subscription, you get Gardens of Health syllabus, you get access to our Wellness Plus page on Facebook, and you get access to our Wellness Plus website where you see the progress of your organization or of your ministry. And we will provide free online courses on total wellness. Can be accessed from wherever you are, as long as you have access to the internet. And of course, the back office support, you don't have to tally, we provide everything for you. Just go to the internet and go to your account. So, in that system, this is what happens. When you subscribe, we encourage you to get 5 of your circles of influence, at least 5, to join the program. Remember, you mentor them, you encourage them, and in doing so, when you get 5 people in your circle of influence to subscribe to Health and Home, your cost of subscription is covered up already because you get a bonus of 1,000 pesos. Now, remember, we talked about expanding circles of influence. So those 5 in your circle of influence, you encourage to get 5 more minimum. That's our requirement, 5, to get the benefit from the system. So now, your second circle of influence is composed of how many people? 25. From that circle, you get a bonus of 1,750. And on and on and on until the 7th circle, you get from that 7th circle 781,150. And when everybody renews their subscription every year, you have a total potential resident bonus of 1,020,000 pesos 250 every year as everybody in your expanded circle of influence renews the subscription to Health and Home Medicine. Imagine how much influence you have on these people in your expanded circle of influence. Now, but remember, you know that Health and Home is not only our product or publication. We have a lot of message books, Alpha and Omega, the Side of Ages, Great Controversy set, a lot. We have the Natural Remedies Encyclopedia, which is very good. People really need it. And many other series DVDs, ebooks. We will have seminars and workshops, lifestyle improvement retreats, and finally annual Gardens conventions. All of this will be a stream of income or financial support for everyone who joins our program. Like the many rivulets that contributes to the river, that becomes a big river, each one of these is like that. So finally, by God's grace, you will have, what is the term? Additional. Remember, every one of us needs a little more money, right? Because simple and comfortable life, we need at least 120,000 pesos income every month. So 1,000,000 pesos annual additional income is not bad, right? Now, where can you go? Where can you work in a company, both public and private, that after maybe 5 years, that you get this, you reach this 7th level or circle of influence, that you get a pension of $1 million every year. $1 million pesos every year. But this is workable, very doable because of the system that has been developed. But now, let me emphasize to you that, again, that is not our emphasis. Our emphasis in the very beginning has been discipleship. But this is an integrated benefit as you join the discipling ministry that we are promoting, the Integrated Wellness Ministry. Now, for example, I told you that we have other products. For example, the Bible story. Now, our requirement is that for you to get the benefit from the Bible story that your circle of influence buys, you have to have the set yourself. Right? So how much is it? It's about 10,000 pesos, right, Brother Vista? So, again, applying the system that we have designed, the very first 5 members of your first immediate circle of influence, you get back what you bought. But now, a lot of people cannot afford to buy that. But if not, and many of the people already in your circle of influence have bought the Bible story, but you have not yet because you don't have the money. Your bonus doesn't get lost. It is in escrow, in a trust fund in the bank. So, for example, when you reach the third circle of influence and you now have 50,000, do you think you can buy the Bible story now? Of course you can. And when you do, you immediately get that 50,000 in reserve in the bank for you. That is why, when I said that is the power of the ripple effect, actually I find that principle in this quotation from Mrs. White. Steps to Christ, page 83. The humblest and poorest of disciples of Jesus can be a blessing to others. They may not realize that they are doing any special good, but they may start waves of blessing that will widen and deepen, and the blessed results they may never know until the day of final reward. You never know. Your act of joining this ministry is like throwing a pebble into the lake that develops wider and wider ripples that reaches the end of the lake. That's the principle there. And then, so what can CSP do for you and for its subscriber of Health and Home that will join us? It will definitely enhance your personality. I have proven that when I joined the literature ministry. You'll be able to touch thousands of people in your expanded circle of influence. You'll be sharing something definitely better. We're not sharing any lotion, potion, or juice, but we are sharing the bread of life. We're sharing the living water with our family and friends. You will become a person of influence. Imagine your parish has now become 95,000, I think, in the expanded circle of influence. And then the CSP will be able, as an integrated benefit of the system, extra financial support for significant people in your life, for you and your families. And of course, we know that colporteurs work with angels in the closing word of proclaiming the everlasting gospel of the earth. So,